Back again with another video. Now in this video, I want to address, the comments that the rapper Slim Thug made. And this is a comment that I would hear from time to time come out of people's mouth. And the comment, and this is not verbatim, but basically Slim Thug said something to the effect that black people need to forget about the past. Basically stop worrying about the past in terms of what happened to us and our experience and really who we are. Basically, I guess stop whining and crying. Don't quit worrying about what happened and focus on now. Something along those lines. And again, that's not word for word. But this is what I want to say about that. Because it's easier said than done. Now, how do I want to break this down? Well, see, the thing is, and I don't know Slim Thug, of course, but the idea is not to let what happened to you affect what happens to you in the future, if that makes sense, even when it comes to people's personal traumas or issues. But the thing is, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. Slim Thug, and this is in a broad sense, but more importantly, what happened to us is nothing lightly. We are still affected by the damages, not only mentally, spiritually, but just even financially and physically, even on this societal playing field. Today is what it is because yesterday is what it was. So in terms of the 400 years of chattel slavery and the mass wealth the United States made off that, this wealth is still parlayed and carried over. And you got people that still benefit from that. Just like you got people like us that still, we don't benefit, but we still get victimized from this. And yeah, there have been improvements, but yet and still, it's still happening. And you still got racism. You still got, again, people that carry the same thought process. The massive wealth still being, it's the same game in a lot of ways. So it's not nothing we can't forget. We're still dealing with the same issues when it comes to redlining, police brutality, and etc. I can go down the line, as you know. But this is not to say that, because this is when I try to give people who make these type of statements the benefit of the doubt. I feel they kind of approaching it from the angle was this like, well, okay, it ain't about what happened to us, it's what we gonna do now. But again, and that's easier said than done, and yeah, that's the idea. But at the same time, if you don't know where you're being, you don't know where you're going. And most of us don't know where we've been. This is why it's important to get the history down and to learn exactly what happened and learn how the wool was pulled over your head and learn how everything happened. That way you can know moving forward on what to do and what not to do in a lot of ways. Not even just that, but just knowing moving forward when it comes to where you're going. So yeah, you definitely want to keep it pushing. We definitely want to keep it pushing. And we don't necessarily want to be crying and blaming everything on this and that. But yet and still, the truth is, everything we experiencing is a result of what happened to us. And people hate these statements that I'm about to make, but it's the truth. But black on black violence is a product of white on black violence. Yeah, of course, ain't nobody putting a gun or the dope in your hand and making you do it, or putting it to your head and making you do it. They don't have to when they create the situation, circumstances. This has been proven time and time again. Even when you got the, our own government admitting its own wrongdoings, but it's usually 30, 40 years after the fact, after the damage is done, but they admitted the wrongdoings from the crack to all kind of things even before then, KKK, all that type of stuff. All those type of activities was done to us for a reason, to stop us from developing Tulsa, Oklahoma. And yet, so all this stuff, we have to get a proper understanding of why it happened. Yeah, it's not dwelling on the past. No, because a lot of times by me speaking what I feel is the truth, I get accused of all you see is black and white is racist. No, I'm not racist. I actually, like King said, judge people by the content of their character. Because trust me, I know anybody can be a snake. Anybody can get foul. You understand? I know from personal experience. So, no, but I understand how things work, or at least I strive to understand, to better understand. You understand? And that's what you need to do, understand the nature of your condition. And again, Slim Thug, we are the only group of people, and I don't necessarily know you or your background, and I ain't about to get into the whole FBI thing, because it don't matter, because oppression happens all over the world. But anyway, we are the only group of people that didn't ask to come here. We didn't volunteer to come here. We didn't immigrate here. This is the reason why we can't resort back to native tongues. See, all those are effects, after effects that we still are effect from. And the only way, one of the ways to truly start overcoming that, or getting a better understanding moving forward, is to learn exactly what happened, exactly what you've been through. You understand? It ain't about hating white people. You understand? Even white people need to understand better what happened. A lot of white people don't even know. A lot of stuff is getting passed down, just like we pass down generational curses of bad habits and ignorance. They pass down generational curses of hatred and racism and all the above. It happens on both, and this is where ignorance, and don't get me wrong, because you definitely got people at the top that is not ignorant, and that doesn't fuel their hate. But I'm talking about just the common Joe Blow person of America, regardless of any group. You understand it's ignorance, but a lot of people at the top do know, but a lot of it is passed down, but that's down a different rabbit hole. But the main purpose is, the answer to that question is no, we don't need to forget where we came from, and we don't need to dwell on the past. Well, we do need to dwell on the past, but not to the effect of, again, pointing the finger too much, but understand how things work and move accordingly. But in order to move accordingly, you got to go back to the past to find out what happened, Slim Thug. But I know you probably, in your mind, tired of hearing the blame it on the white man talk, because unfortunately, a lot of people do use certain things like that as excuses. No different than you got a lot of these money grab people out here accusing certain celebrities. You got some people that will cry a foul or crowd racism or bigotry, and it don't be it. So it gives the real stuff the black eye. But again, in America, if you know, you know. And as everybody know, all you gotta do is study the history again, and you know what happened and what truly happened, not just the face value stuff. Really just look into stuff, and this regardless of who you is, black or white. But, and I'm freestyling this video, but you get my main point. You don't want to forget history. Yeah, you don't want to dwell on the past moving forward, but you definitely don't want to forget the past. You definitely need to learn a lesson from the past, and more importantly, in order to know where you're going, you got to understand where you came from, especially in people in our case. This is why we got the problem, because we got different sections of us believing in different things, and it's nothing to believe in certain things, but you got to really understand the number that was put on us. And again, not necessarily that, because you don't want to necessarily, and this is where we get the Hollywood version of the slavery movies, where they just highlight the so-called negative experience and saying like, oh, this is all you was, just somebody rolling around in the dirt in Africa, and we should thank them for bringing us over here and, giving us religion and all that stuff. Nah, it was great achievements. It was great achievements done by so-called African Americans. So this is where we got to teach the inventions. You got to teach the greatness to the children, not just the textbook. Oh, you was just not the Kunta Kinte version. You definitely teach them all that. You know what I'm saying? But you definitely teach them all the stuff we did in spite of all that, even up under that type of oppression, even now to this day. Not just entertainment, and there's no knock on that. But this is what inspires, you understand, intelligence in your child. This how you counter the self-hate that you're going to see all over TV and even amongst your own folk. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. You need knowledge, the understanding to counter the ignorance. Slim Thug, and in order to get the knowledge, you got to study and you got to learn what happened. And it's that simple, and there's no way around that. So you can't just simply forget, even though I kind of understand what you, well, I'm giving y'all the benefit of the doubt, but with you and people like that, mean when y'all say statements like that, because don't get me wrong, I'm not with crying. I know the power is in our hands, but you definitely got to understand what's going on. And this is a lot of the reasons we don't get nowhere. And this is, again, even when I mention the Black Panther Party, because people tend to think that's a black supremacist group. They think it's all about hate. When they hear a black person talking about, learning about what happened in their heritage or whatever the case, or fighting for equal rights, they tend to want to reverse it and flipping it, thinking it's hate. But we know that ain't the case. But this is why you need to learn. But again, I'm freestyling. I'm definitely going to make another version of this video, another part, or part 2, as well as a few other things. But I'll be back at y'all, man. Bad News Brown, breaking it down.